Hey guys, and welcome back to another ETTO's catch-up. Almost forgot what it's called.
did.
I am Josh.
I am Will.
Today we're talking about Season 2 of Umbrella Academy, based on the comic books of...
Gerard Way.
Gerard Way, thank you. Oh my
There you
goodness,
go.
I shouldn't have forgotten that. The lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
They're on Netflix. If you haven't watched them already, that's where they live. Both seasons are there. They're not impossible to find, like all of DC's content. They're all just sitting on Netflix, ready for consumption. 10 episodes each? I can't remember first season. The first season was probably 10 episodes too, right?
I think so.
Netflix are always 10, I think. So yeah, get them in your gob.
But this will be full spoilers the whole way.
Yeah.
So if you have not watched it yet, go do that,
Just get out of here. Get out.
please.
We've both got doors in the background. Use one of them. Leave.
Yeah, use outdoors.
Yeah, we're not using them. But yeah, so Umbrella Academy Season 2, 10 episodes, kind of based on the second volume. They've done an interesting thing with these seasons where I think they take the main premise, like the singular idea of, this is already a spoiler, 5 kills the president. That's volume 2's like one of many weird ideas. And they've just taken that and then just made a whole series off it. They purposely travel back in time in the volume as well. It's not an accidental thing that happens at the end of volume 1 or something. So it's like, I love it because it is the best way to make this show. Because it makes reading the books, it doesn't feel like you're spoiling the show because the books are so far removed from what they're doing. But it also at the same time gives you like a slight upper hand of like, oh, I see where you're taking this thing from, which is always nice.
Yeah, and when we watched season 1 and I read volume 1 and 2, there were major plot points from volume 2 used in volume 1 as well.
Yeah, right.
All the stuff with the two cops, the guys with the big helmets.
That's in season 2. That's true,
So much of that is volume 2 in season 1.
They got you. They're fine.
But I've got them all out. They're all ready to read. I am going to go back over them to see all the similarities and see how they connect up.
Totally.
But yeah, what did you think overall of season 2, even if you're just comparing it to season 1?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like I didn't quite get season 1. I feel like, as with a lot of shows, they were still trying to find their feet. So I do think I enjoyed, as a season of the Umbrella Academy, I think I enjoyed season 2 more. But I think on its own, I think it was a bit less structured than the first season. I feel like season 1 powered along, obviously because they've got the ability to go, all right, for these 4 episodes we're talking about characters you've never met before. Whereas this season, obviously, they got the same amount of episodes with possibly less to do. And I think that comes across in a bad way for the first couple of episodes. It's a bit slow. They try and do lots of character building and stuff, but they do it in the way of a lot of montage. And a lot of the time, because they're all scattered across time, there was a lot of points where I'm like, when is this happening exactly? Like, and I enjoyed it. I really love the idea of them all coming to the 60s at a different point in time. That's great, because obviously they've lived lives when they eventually come together, and that's awesome. But, oh man, just to go back to The Last of Us, it's not really a big spoiler for The Last of Us, but there's a bit of that, like, they're all together for like 5 minutes, and then they all just split up for some inconceivable reason and take another 2 episodes to come back together, but then they all split up again. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? It just feels like they tread a lot of water in this series, and then when you get to the end of the series, it's like, holy shit, you wasted so much time and just kind of rushed to that ending. But even then, I'm sorry I'm ranting, but even then that ending happens in episode 9, and then they make up a new ending to do in episode 10, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's just... It's a really enjoyable series. The characters are at the point where you're like, I can't wait to watch more of this, because they are the version of the character I'm keen to keep seeing throughout the other seasons. But I think the series itself just feels a little bit clunky, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's better than season 1.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that,
Yeah, I think it's more memorable, possibly knowing more of their lore and already having those established characters. Really enjoyed that, but yeah, I totally agree with the like double ending.
It's
like
very strange.
Got to episode 9, it finished, and I'm like,
wait,
okay, so we have another episode. Like, what's going on here? It was super weird.
Yeah, I think I messaged you probably during episode 9, and I was like, I don't like this. I was like, I could see where they're going. The show has to stop pretending that Vanya is the main character, because she's not. there are 8 characters in the show. Yes. And focusing on all of them is always great. But for some reason, they keep coming back to Vanya like she is the most integral thing. Because that last episode, the finale, is all about her and that thing. And they kind of go, oh, it's also including the handler and stuff. And I'm like, but it's not. Like, this kid doesn't feel relevant to the rest of the plot. You've squeezed the idea. Because even the idea of, like, what's-her-face, because I don't care about her at all, being part of the group that all were born on the same day. It's like, cool. That's a really cool idea, and there's definitely hints at it, like the bit where 5 sees her on the roof and then sees her on the ground, and you're like, she has to have, like, teleported or something. So there's, like, traces of it early on in the series. That's cool, but I don't know. It just felt like they tried to shoehorn the handler caring about the kid by then also revealing her at the same time, and they just felt like 2 reveals back-to-back that was like, they just feel a bit clumsy.
Yeah, okay.
Main line is, Ellen Page is great. There's other characters in the show. She's not the main character. Stop doing that. Don't do that again for another season.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's just, I'll quickly recap.
Please, the show.
The show, the whole series, because there's not much to really talk about because they do just pad it out so much.
That's crazy.
So at the end of the previous season, I think Vanya exploded the moon.
Yes.
Was that what happened?
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then the moon rained down on the Earth, causing the apocalypse. But number 5 teleported / time traveled them all away. So that's where we come to at the beginning of season 2 that runs directly on. And they all get scattered across the early 60s in Dallas. Number 5, where he gets teleported to, he witnesses an altered world event where Soviet Russia is going to war with America in Dallas, but they're specifically fighting against the Umbrella Academy. Nukes are getting launched, which causes another apocalypse. Everything gets destroyed. So number 5 does his thing, time travels away, and now they need to catch up to each other in all of their different time periods. Not that they know where each other are or that they are even in the same place. They have no idea. But 5 ends up finding them over time, bringing them all back together, and they then have to figure out what caused that second apocalypse and that war, why they changed history, and they have to figure out how to stop it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole show until the last episode where there's another plot.
Yes, yeah, basically. So you get Luther. He's a security guard and a kind of like underground fighting ring guy for some gangster. I
think it's a real world gangster because they obviously know his ending and all the rest of that because they show you on the show. Yeah, I mean, I didn't look into it, but yeah, I think he's a real dude.
Yeah, and everyone was like, you're fighting or you're working for this guy? Like, what the hell? So obviously they knew who he was, even though they weren't from that time period.
Yeah, totally.
Klaus is hanging with Ben, who is the Umbrella Academy member who died when they were kids, and they're just the freaking best.
As Josh has said in the chat, there should be a spin-off show of Klaus and Ben's journey from their time period up to then. They'll never do it, but any excuse to just focus on those 2 would be great.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
And Klaus started a cult, which he doesn't want to be in anymore because he just kind of got over it.
Yeah.
Wants to go do other things. Allison is married to a black rights activist and is part of that movement. Diego is in a mental institution. He was attacking people and was also saying that he wants to save President Kennedy from the assassination, which happens, which is funny because no one believes him, even though it's definitely going to happen because history. And that happens in Dallas as well, which makes sense why it's set there. Vanya, she's hit by a car, loses her memories.
Back to the Future. I got full Back to the Future vibes of that bit.
Very much so. And the family that hits her with the car ends up looking after her, and she ends up becoming a nanny for a boy with autism, very clearly with autism. It's never said, but it's very clear that it is.
Because they don't know what it is.
Because they're in the 60s. But there are a few lines where they're like, come back with me to the 2000s where he can get the help that he needs.
Yep.
Because Vanya actually understands what's up.
Yep.
And number 5 is just doing his thing across time, just jumping in and out of time and doing whatever he needs to do to bring
Being
everyone back.
the best character in the show. Like,
He's one of the best, absolutely. Yeah.
so good.
He's the most interesting. Klaus is the most entertaining. Number 5 is the most interesting and seems to know everything. He just seems to know what's going on. It's the best.
I find number 1, Luther, those two are just, what's the word? They are the best. Luther is interesting to me because I love Tom Hopper, but he's not the best actor, right? Like, he's very dorky and awkward, and it is perfect for a dude with the body of a gorilla. Like,
it makes so much sense.
It's so good. Like almost every scene he is in, it ends with him either saying something awkward or giving an awkward look, and then it cuts to something else. And every time I laugh my fucking head off. Like, he's so great, but so bad.
It's perfect casting, but so awkward.
So awkward.
Yeah, he's great. He's very, very good. I will say, bear with me while I say this phrase.
Please.
Say what I'm going to say. I found Diego way more interesting in this season than he was in season 1. Mm-hmm. But super boring comparatively to anyone else.
It's like he was shit in the first season, but now he's okay. Like,
in the first couple of episodes where he's in the mental institution and stuff, he was great. I loved it because he's like a little bit insane. He's changed his look, so he's like super weird, like really, really funny. It was quite funny in the opening seasons, and then when everyone else starts developing more of a backstory as well,
and he doesn't change.
It's like he's just so much less interesting all of a sudden.
I will say it's probably one of the best moments in the whole series is when his stutter comes back when his dad pisses him off in the tiki bar lounge. Like, that is one of the best moments in the series when he can't even get the words out. I'm like, oh, this is acting.
That was one of my notes as well. When they do meet with the father and they all have a chat together, like they're all having dinner. That is so good.
It's it's so rewarding. Something about it, you're like, oh yes, this is, because they never really have it in season 1 because he's already dead. So it's like, it's the moment that you're like, okay, they're all together finally.
Yeah, totally. And they all seem to almost revert to being children.
Yeah, totally.
Because they're like, he asks for proof of their powers and everything they do is so sloppy. Yeah. And it's like just slapstick comedy the whole time.
I heard a rumor that you hit yourself in the face or something. It's pretty great.
And like what Vanya like explodes the fruit everywhere and like it's so weird. It's so funny and dumb. Yeah. But it's just that scene is a lot of fun.
It's a very good scene. And I've been watching the shit of all the behind the scenes stuff. And in the lift on the way up, there's the fart joke of Luther farting. Diego, the actor, if you watch, he's completely laughing the entire... They did, like, multiple takes, and he could never get through it. So everyone else is like, oh, Luther, and you look at him, he's just going like this the whole time, and it's so funny.
That's the best. Yeah. Oh, man, I'll have to go back and watch that one episode.
I think it's probably the midway point, because it would make sense that it all happens, but I think that was one of the best ones. So, Diego, I think, look, the main thing with all the characters in this series, which is, it's an unfortunate thing, it almost reminded me of, like, The Flash's second season, where they just do the same thing again. Because it is the same thing again. It is the apocalypse again. Vanya causes it, kinda. It was a bit less, direct. Although that was a great reveal when it was like, holy shit, because she's in the room, and that's happening, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that was sick.
All of the different storylines kind of coming together, that was like,
which is why
so good.
The episode 10 was so bad, because it was like, this makes sense. This is the end. Like, stop.
Yeah. You've brought everything is converged now. It's fine.
Yeah, like even Vanya's story is pretty much finished, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think the issue is it's that season 2 we're going to do the same thing again, but maybe a little bit different. But also the start of the season just kind of feels like, even though they went in all these different places, they're still the same characters from the start of season 1. Like, they almost feel, because like you said, they revert at the dinner table, but I almost feel like they revert at the start. Because, like, Klaus is crackhead. Vanya now doesn't understand her powers at all, so she's back at square one. Luther's just a big dude neglected from his family. Like, they're all back at the start, and it's not like by the time they're all back together, which is why I was so excited at the start of the series when they're all together and fighting. I'm like, cool, we're going to, like, powerhouse our way back to that point. but it never happens. And they never even get close to that because they spend the whole series becoming the characters they were at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
They never, it's so strange. It's fun to watch. And it's why it's still a good season, because it is like a better version of season 1. But the reason that is because all the characters are the same. Like, and we need to talk about it because it's difficult to talk about, but it's a thought we both had about the series. What's Rumor? What's her name?
Allison.
Her side story of obviously racial rights and stuff, which perfect year for it to come out in. It's still going in the US. It's insane.
Yeah.
I actually saw a video tonight and I was like, holy shit, that's still happening. Like,
that's crazy.
But it just feels like they went, we got rid of her voice at the end of season 1. What's like the like pun on that? Well, if someone doesn't have their voice, it's like they can't speak. And if they can't speak, it's like going back in when racism was at its peak and you couldn't speak because you didn't have a voice because people let's just base half of her story on that. And then that's what they went with. And then they never thought of anything interesting to do with her powers until like the last episode it's relevant in. It's so strange. Like, because it is the idea of she didn't have a voice is such a clever way to spin onto racial issues and racial rights and stuff, because it's exactly what that is. But the only thing she does is save her husband and then just kind of get some free shit, and that's it, in a montage. It's so glossed over, and it even though it is such an important thing, and it's great that it's in content and that it's not hidden away, it just feels like they wasted that time.
Yeah, Dolphin Pants saying, more coffee! Oh man, that scene was painful to watch.
It was hard to watch.
It was freaking nuts.
Yeah.
It went for so long.
It was too long.
They just kept showing him burning his hand for like half the episode.
I felt like it. But and again, I get it. So as Ryan Crouton says, her vocal cords just needed time to heal. Also felt like a cheap conclusion. Totally. I was like, surely that's a bigger deal. But it's like, no, she just got better and started to be able to talk. Like,
yeah, I gotta say, I had forgotten that her throat was slit until she went back in time, until we got like her origin of being there.
Exactly, yeah.
And then suddenly like the slit across her throat was so clear, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing that until this origin in the whole season. I don't remember seeing the scar.
Not at all.
For the like first 3 or 4 episodes.
Which just makes me think maybe episode 10 of the last season was the same. Maybe episode 10 last season was just too much as well. Because that was obviously in that episode. Like, and we've forgotten it. So maybe they've just got a problem with finales. But yeah, it's
a lot of shows seem to, though.
That's true. Yeah. Shows just can't stick the landing. But speaking of her, I loved near the end, which it was a great gag, but also is a bit dumb because none of them are related. But when Diego's like, when they realize that she's technically a sister, the bad girl that's been there the whole time, he's like, but like not, what is it? It's like not biological, right? And it's like, there's a funny gag, but it's like, well, it's none of you are.
Yeah, you should know that by now, dude. Like,
that's not how this works. Although, in the comics, number 5 and number 1 have the same mum, which I'm wondering if they'll ever use. It's a weird factor. Yeah, because there's a bit where I think the agency has Allison captured, and they're like, we've got a gun to the head of a mother, and she's the mother of number 5 and number 1. And it's like a big reveal that they're actually twins.
Cool.
I don't know if that'll ever come up. I doubt it will, because it's weird in the comics. It's almost too weird in the show.
Yeah, definitely.
And also not really hinted. Although, they did give number 5 and number 1 like an entire episode together, so who knows?
That's true. That was a great episode.
That's the best episode.
Such a freaking, like, that pairing and Ben and Klaus. So good.
It's so good. And old 5 is so good. I also looked up, he was one of Biff Tannen's gang members in the 3rd Back to the Future movie.
No way, what? Yeah. That's so weird.
Because I looked it up, he's been in like 6 things, and one of the things was Back to the Future 3, and I'm like, what the hell did he do there? And yeah, he was one of the guys.
That's crazy. He was in season 1 as well, wasn't he?
Yes.
Because we did see old season.
It's gone crazy.
We did see old number 5. One other thing from the comics that they did bring in, finally, is Fishhead Guy.
Yeah!
From the is it the agency? What are they called? The commission.
Yeah. The bureau? Is it the bureau?
The commission? Was it the commission?
Yeah, the commission. Maybe that.
Yeah, they finally brought him in. So basically, just a guy, but instead of a head, he has a fishbowl with a fish in it, and the fish is the guy. That was in volume. Well, It's been in all the comics.
Yeah.
So far, but they didn't introduce him until season 2. I don't think. I do not remember him.
He wasn't in season 1.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Yeah. So they brought him in. Freaking stoked. Like, it's so good that they added just that little bit of little bit more weirdness into it. You and I were already talking about how this show could be like, what's the other show you've been watching?
Doom Patrol. It needs more Doom Patrol. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, you've been watching that. You've been sending me stuff and just so being like, weird. This has no context. And it's just people like dancing in a white room for no reason. And then that's it. They dance and then they move on to something else.
But it still like makes sense, but it's like there's no context. It needs more of that. It needs just more zany because the comics make no sense almost.
Yeah, the comics have it. They're just borrowing little bits off, and it seems like they're a little bit nervous to go full weird, like full Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
But they've taken that one little more step. They've gotten there. Fish head guy.
Yeah.
Love him.
And interesting, in the comics, 5 does the same thing as the Handler does. He does a over-the-mouth drop and eats him. So...
cool,
They took that straight from the comics, which is cool. There's cool little references like that.
Nice.
It's such a ballsy show to do what they do with the comics. Like, obviously, J.R. Way must be involved a little bit too, but they really just go, no, I'm just going to take that bit. Like, in such strange ways. Like, they like that, going from 5, a main character, to the baddie, doing it. Like, that's a pretty big step. Although in the comics, 5 is a lot more the baddie. Like, they've definitely softened him for the show, which is fine, because I love him. But there's definitely less of a grey line in the comics. It's like, no, he is problem.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I also love, this is kind of like a random thing, but I loved that they brought the Umbrella Academy mum back in.
Yeah, that was cool.
As a real person. Mm-hmm. And Diego's interaction with her and stuff was super interesting. Like, that was kind of very cute. Like, again, he reverts back to being a child and being like, it's my mom. Like, you raised me. Oh, my goodness. And they couldn't believe that she was real.
Yeah.
And she plays, like, a fairly prominent role in all of this as well. Because she's hanging out with Reginald the whole time, the dad, who, as Dolphin Pants reminded me in the chat, there is a shot where Reginald takes his whole mask off and he's an alien.
You got the back of the head.
And just not explained.
No, it's very good. It's very good.
No answer.
No.
It's a question that's just completely left to be answered later. And that hasn't happened in the comics, has it?
It's very funny because when I reread it, I was like, wow, that's... Because I was shocked. It's in the second page. In the second page, it says Reginald's...
Is it really?
It says something like Reginald's home planet and shows him in the mirror with no back of the head. So it's in the comics.
What the heck?
But perfectly,
that's crazy.
We both forgot. So I had the same reaction. And apparently there is a shot that's in that same kind of like vagueness, although this season obviously less vague, but there was a vague shot in season 1 of like something's up with Reginald. So, but I don't remember that at all. But yeah, that was a sick moment.
That was pretty cool.
But I think that was in episode 8, so I was like, oh cool, gonna get the end of this, and then it never happens.
Yeah, never happened. I assume next time, it seems like, because the end of the season, we'll just jump to it, because by this stage you really should have watched it.
Yeah.
You get the Umbrella Academy returning to their normal time because they've fixed everything and can go back.
Fixed.
They go back to their house. Their father is still alive for whatever reason, but he has no idea who they are. He says that they do not... Well, he probably does know who they are because it's that timeline.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, this isn't your house. This is the Sparrow Academy, not the Umbrella Academy. And so there's a whole new group, and Ben's still alive.
Ben's still alive.
There he is. So I feel like we're going to get a whole lot more of Reginald now.
Yeah. Totally.
Their father in the next season, which will be super interesting, and I'm sure they will explore that storyline a lot more.
So the thing that I'm thinking, and this is like not a rumor, this is just where my brain went. I think, and this is having read the 2 volumes, so maybe I guess it's spoilers in some respect, but because it is a comic book, they've faced other villains. Like in the show, they just face the what you come to calling them? What were they called? The
Commission.
The Commission. They're just facing them the whole time. But in the comics, they face baddies. Like they face like a Doctor Doom like and a Spider and all that. So what I think is that this alt reality, which by the way, I think it's because he was just like, I don't want to adopt those motherfuckers. I'm not dealing with that. So he just adopted a different set of kids. But he never met Ben, so he still adopted him. That's my thinking. Nice. So I think this group fought a lot more villains, and I think their world will be a bit more skewed to the comic because they do a lot more. They're probably less dysfunctional, but then as we watch it, we find out that they are worse than them. Like, it's a bit of that where it's like they're perfect and they just keep seeing their mirrors and they're like, oh, fuck, why are they so good? But then as you watch the series, it's like, oh, no, these guys suck. But
yeah. Almost like an evil
basically
version of them, but
it's the Injustice League, basically.
Yeah.
I will out of rumor, very good. Yeah, so that's what I'm feeling. But I say that because the big thing with Reginald being alien is there's stuff on the moon. Like, he has, which is why he sent Luther there. There's, like, moon-related shenanigans. So I'm feeling like maybe that all ties in. I don't want to say things because it's from the comics, and I just feel like some people haven't read the comics. Like, I've got thoughts, so I'm just going to hold them. But what I'm saying is this third season should be insane, but it also should be the last season. They should go out on a high, because Stranger Things certainly won't. I feel like that show is going to run itself into the ground pretty hard.
Probably.
But that's my thing. But please, Josh, you've got a lot more notes.
I do, yeah. I will be sad to see this go if it does end, but if they wrap it up, like, perfectly, answer all the questions, then sweet, fine, don't care.
It's such a strange thing, right? Like, I was driving on the way home from a mate's place the other day, and I was just thinking about, you know, like, Doctor Who and, like, Stranger Things and all that. I'm like, imagine if they end well. Because, like, I watched the last, and this isn't, I'm not going to spoil it, Josh. I know you're the only person that watches it, Finchy. The last episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's like, holy shit, this show should have ended 6 seasons ago. By that I mean it should have started. But anyway, it's just like, shows don't know when to end. Look at Game of Thrones. They just fucked it. So it's like, as much as it would hurt to, you know, say goodbye to class and all that, I'm like, it is that. It's like, if they nail an ending, just do it. Like, work towards a goal and finish.
But it's also not a thing that comic books do.
No, not at all. Well, this freaking comic book was finished in 2009, and then this year they're like, you know what, another volume. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. They brought it out just as season 1 came out. Just a couple of little things that I noted down, and then there's a few more talking points. There's a line where number 5 says, I could do this all day.
Yeah, I did hear that one.
I was just like, come on. Yes. Come on, guys. Love that. I think it was maybe season 9. No, it was season 10. It was the end.
Episode?
Episode 10. It was the end of episode 10.
Yeah.
Where they're all in the barn together, like right at the end, and they all get shot.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely the last one.
Yeah, and one of the Swedish guys comes in, and Klaus goes, who the hell is this guy? Because Klaus has never seen any of the white guys before.
Yeah. It's just
he's never come up. Well, he only saw the dead one.
Yeah.
But then it's the first time that he's ever come up. All of the rest of them have seen them and had to fight them or escape from them. I loved that. I love when they do that. When
it's like Stranger Things season 3 when they all met and they're like, so what do we all know? Like, what's been happening?
Yeah. I feel like there was something else as well that we've watched. Star Wars.
Which bit?
Poe had never met...
Yeah, never met Rey. Yeah, totally.
Never met Rey. And
That's
so
right,
they come together for the first time at the end of the second movie or something.
Yeah, the last Jedi.
Are you serious? Like, there's 2 movies where these guys are main characters and this is the first time they've met? It's so weird.
Hi, I'm Poe. Yeah, that's right. That's
so strange. There was a weird thing where Luther and Allison, who are in love in season 1, they meet each other for the first time, and Luther just seems to be at like a outside like some food vans. They meet up, hug each other, and there's just the shot changes to a different angle. And there's no actors there.
They're all gone.
There's no other people in the background. Everyone that were eating around them are just gone. It was almost a callback to like when they were dancing together, and there probably wasn't anyone like in season 1. There probably wasn't anyone in the background of that anyway. But it's kind of like the fact that like lights dropped down and music started playing and they were
Yeah,
dancing.
totally.
It's sort of like whenever they're together embracing,
The world
no
just
one
stops.
else exists. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything just disappears except for them. It's almost like a bit of a callback to that.
It's pretty cute. I freaking love that. That's one of those Luther scenes where she's like, "Oh, it's so good to talk to you without the world ending," and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's happening again." And it's like, it's so good.
It's one of the best
so
lines.
funny.
I think you filmed that and sent that
I
to me.
did. It's so funny. I don't know. And just his delivery, like, I love him. His delivery is so good of, like, all those lines. It's so direct. There's something
Yeah.
so, like, harshly unemotional about it in the best way. It's so funny.
Again, it's just him, like, probably not being a very good actor, so he doesn't know how to
Yeah.
deliver the line, so he just delivers it. Like, he just
gives
says
it to
the
you.
line. One other thing that I really loved, which it's another thing that they added in for, like, weirdness, was number 5 decides that he's going to steal the briefcase off himself from season 1, and he's talking about all of the effects of meeting yourself and kind of breaking that space-time thing. And I freaking love him just staring straight down the barrel of the camera, listing all of the different side effects, almost like there's 7 stages of grief sort of
right.
thing. Like he's listing it almost like that. And the words are coming up on the screen as he's doing it. Like, so weird.
very
I
good.
freaking love it. And then everything to do with that as well. Like how he actually does meet and they are getting sick and they are farting a whole bunch and like everything that he listed out, you're like, oh, you can see it. And he starts like getting angrier and like,
Oh, his
and more.
mania was so good. He's he's just terrifying.
Yeah. That was the point where I'm like, I really do love this character. Like he's and the actor does it so damn well. He's just
So good.
freaking brilliant.
It's the thing, it's like the other side of what Matt Smith did as the Doctor, where it's like you can see an old wise man that's like placid and stuff. He's doing that, but it's like an old man that doesn't want to be in the body. Like, he's like an old dude that's still trying to claw out of this 5-year-old's eyes. Whereas Matt Smith was like just an old dude in a body that was happy to be there. It's like, this guy wants to be a grown-up. He's friggin' over people thinking he's a child.
Which is also just such a good thing as well, just in the universe.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he goes to where Luther works in like a bar, like it's almost like a strip club kind of idea. Comes in, like flirts with the waitress a little bit and she lets him in and he's just sitting there drinking whiskey or whatever. And it's like, how did they let him in? He's clearly like 15. Like why did they serve him? How did he get away with that?
Yeah. Oh, he's so
great.
freaking great. Like, I did have the thought, I mean, probably because of that bit of Doctor Who-ness to it, but I'm like, if they needed an American Doctor Who, that kid would be great.
Yes.
He'd be so good. He's so
Absolutely.
down for that.
It's almost like where they probably would have got a lot of his mannerisms and stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like,
I mean,
it's
interesting.
timey-wimey, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, he does a lot of the babble, but it's actually interesting to watch a lot of his YouTube, because he has YouTube content of behind the scenes and stuff like that, and they sent him, I think the second volume, they've just done this big reprint with, like, art cards and stuff, and he was just frothing, and he's like, I love this before I became it. Like, he held up a piece of art of 5, and he's like, my character, and he's like, the greatest thing is, it's my character, but I love this character before it was my character, and now it's my character. Like,
Sure.
he was
So he's
already
been reading,
a fan.
like he was already reading the comics and stuff.
Yeah, so...
He definitely looks like the sort of kid that would have been into My Chemical Romance as well. I can totally see
I think
that.
he still is.
yeah, absolutely. It's probably just an absolute dream that he's getting to work on this thing.
I think he calls him, I think he says the word, like, when I talk to Gerard, you can see him just shut down mentally inside. Like, it's clearly a big day for him when he met Gerard.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, and just my final talking point, which we could talk about for like another 40 minutes or something, is just Klaus. Klaus and Ben, Klaus in particular, like,
good.
he's the comic relief, but he also has like the most tension in his story arc. With like his stuff with Dave and all of that, how he's got to like let go of Dave and he gets hit by Dave because Dave doesn't realize he's gay yet and all this stuff. Like he has all of the major like crazy two sides of emotion within his character. It's so intense. And then you get Ben as well, like along for the ride.
Yeah.
Just basically has to follow him around all the time because it's the only person who can see him and interact with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and just like
great.
Ben like possessing Klaus to be able to
The
go
visual
talk
effect
to...
of when he's putting him back in him, when he's running,
so
that's so
sick.
cool.
Just
And it
like
was-
pushing him back in
and it's like that. I assumed it was a CG double that they just put in, but they filmed him doing all the bits, and so it's an actual the actor actually like doing that, and they've comped it in and everything.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
oh, it's like I rewound that. I don't know if people say rewound, but like I so many times because there was something so snappy and like visceral and like I had never seen it before. Like it just hit me as a visual effect. It was cool.
It's almost reminiscent of Spider-Verse when they start getting their
Totally.
not in their universe jitters.
Yeah.
That was the vibes I was getting.
But I will
Just suddenly,
say, when he threw up, it was certainly a shock.
there was a lot. There was so much vomit.
I just wasn't expecting vomit at all. Like,
It seems so random. It
Yeah.
seems so ridiculous.
it's very funny.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than music, the only things I have left.
Music's very good. I just want to quickly say on Ben,
Yeah.
because the end of the season 1, obviously he does the tentacle thing in the theater, and everyone sees Ben. Like, people know that Klaus can interact with him. It's a big... This is another thing of, like, reverting the characters back. When they all meet up back in time, they mention Ben, and he's like, oh, he didn't travel to the 60s. It's like, why'd you remove that? Like, why bring that out of it again? Like, now what's gonna happen when he brings him back out? They're gonna be like, oh, cool, he's still here. Like, they didn't forget about him. They know he exists, and they expected him to be there, but Klaus was just... It was like doing a drama class, and it's like yes and. He basically did no, and just killed that idea. And I was really irritated, because it was like, why?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that to have more of a payoff, like for there to be like a real reason why he left Ben out of it. But it just doesn't come back.
It doesn't happen. I guess maybe visual effects, they just didn't want to have to do tentacles. Also, fucking sexy boy when he walks towards Vanya to break her out of the spell. Beautiful scene. Like, you never see those characters interact. Like, maybe in a few bits in the first season, but for some reason it feels right. Like, I'm keen for them to interact in the alt universe, because that was great. But he had nothing pushing him back. He took 3 minutes, because all he's doing at that point is walk from one space to a door. Those waves of energy weren't hurting him. He was fine. So he took 3 minutes for a dying person that's about to blow up a building to just walk there. I'm like, dude, just walk. Just go.
Yeah.
Like, what are you...
Yeah.
And also, that whole scene, love it. It's great. Lots of comedy moments, like when Diego tries to go and he's like, Diego, I gotta tell you something. You're like, what's this emotional moment? He goes, with that hair, you look like Antonio Banderas. And
Yes.
then it was like, okay, good. All that's great. But we knew it was going to be Ben that had to do it. Like, obviously. So, and I mean, that was the point when if they weren't already knocked out, they would have been like, Klaus, use Ben. Or like, get Ben to help. That would have been a great moment of the team seeing Ben for the final time. But no, they're all knocked out. They don't get to see... Klaus, who's been on this journey for 2 seasons with Ben, doesn't even realize that's why he died. Like... It's just weird. It's such a weird moment, because it's just like they've been connected this whole time, and then his death bit is with Vanya. It's very strange.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
It's very
Yeah, that is super weird. But I am really happy that that they do actually seem to be friends now. Like, they do seem to be a family.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to next season. Hopefully it actually is made. Where they do work together. They're not just fighting all the time and stuff like that. They're actually working together, because those are some of the best moments. Like where they've now come together and like made up. They're all friends. They're all lovely towards each other.
Yeah.
And they have so much ability to fight with each other and to really like change the world and do some sick stuff.
It's the last 10 minutes of the first Avengers movie, because after that they are never friends again. They're only the Avengers for 10 minutes. And like the first minute of Age of Ultron. After that they just fight with each other. But totally. Like, it's going to be great. The one spanner that exists is the fact that Allison's daughter is probably not in existence, and she'll have a little tiff with Five for a little bit. But apart from that,
Yes. Which Dolphin Pants actually mentioned before. He said, I love how Allison forgets she has a child until it's plot convenient.
I forgot she had a child.
Until they brought that back up, I was like, oh, crap.
Well,
Like, why is she being so, like, I need to stay married to this guy? You have a child.
just go home.
who died in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Very weird. Because they kept saying the name of her kid. Like, she kept saying, I have to go, whatever her kid's name. And I'm like, who the fuck's that? Until they got back, and I was like, completely forgot. I forgot she wrote books. I forgot. Like, it's great that it is so different, but it really is a reset on every single character. They're like a different. It's very weird. It's just such a strange season. But music. Let's talk music.
Yeah. Oh man, there were 3 songs that really stood out to me in particular, mainly because they are just different versions of songs I already know. I think first, maybe second episode, probably second episode, where Diego was escaping from the asylum, is the super chill version of Gnarls Barkley's "Crazy."
Yeah, that was
Make me
sick.
crazy.
That
It was really good.
cool.
Little bit on the nose. Little bit on the nose.
It was also just like one of those things that they'd put on the front of an Assassin's Creed trailer, like just a slowed down version of a song. Like the other ones are really fun remixes, or in a different language. But that one is the one that's just like, well, you've just slowed the song down.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then there was, speaking of other language, the Swedish version of "Hello." I assume it's Swedish.
Yep.
Some sort of European version of "Hello" by Adele. When one of the Swedish guys dies. Which was like super poignant. Like, I think you messaged me and was like, I didn't think they would make. Did you say I didn't think, or I did?
I was like, I knew they'd make us care about these guys. I was like, they had to do
exactly.
But then they didn't.
So ridiculous.
Then they kind of just stopped using them until he came back in the. Those were weird as well. Like, Cha Cha and Chi Chi were through the whole season, whereas those guys just kind of came up whenever they needed a fight. Like, they weren't characters.
There wasn't like a clear reason either.
No. It was
Like,
very weird.
I think the thing was like the commission sent them to kill Five. I don't really know why either.
Yeah. It was a bit of a hangover of like, remember when they were trying to kill Five from the first season? Now they're doing it again.
It was a little bit weird, but yeah, that was super weird. But then probably the best song in this whole thing is the ska version of "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
So good, so unexpected for it to be ska too, because there's no brass until after the chorus.
Yeah. The thing that I think that they made the chorus sound even more like the Lazy Town song by putting that brass in.
Right, yeah.
It's even more that now. The funniest thing with both that and Swedish Hello, which I don't know what they do, they might slap you with a fish or something. But both of them, it was like I went, oh, it's that song. No, it isn't. Oh, it is. Like there was like 3 sets of just like, nah. Oh, it is. It was very funny.
Yeah, totally. And both of these are in the same episode. They're like they're basically like 5 minutes apart. It's like, geez, like separated a little bit. Like this.
It was very weird.
It's throwing all your best stuff in. One of the cool things, and the thing that sort of makes me think that we hopefully will get a season 3, because a lot of people are watching this and doing a lot of research into it, is because because that song is now above Billie Eilish's version of that song when you search it in Spotify. So clearly a lot of people are hearing that, jumping into Spotify, looking for it, and then listening to it on there, and it's inched its way above.
So funny.
So it's obviously getting more listens currently because it's like the show's just been released. But yeah, that's my one thing that's like, this could have legs for a season 3, hopefully.
I hope so. I mean, there's still. I mean, Stranger Things is definitely bigger, but
that's pretty much it. Did we miss anything in the chat?
Actually, we do have 2 things. One from Dolphin Pants, one from Rao Crouton on the Discord. If you want to get into the Discord, go to www.patreon.com/each of their own. Just $1 will get you into a super secret Discord where you can just talk to people like Dolphin Pants, who says, I really enjoyed the ride, even if the plot felt the same and the ending felt rushed. I'm excited for a 3rd season. It looks fresh. Wonder how the apocalypse follows them this time. It's very interesting, because the comics, it's not a constant apocalypse. Like, the first one is, Then the next one is about the assassination, and then the third one's about something I don't want to say, just in case that's what they do. So it'll be interesting as to whether they think that's enough to just keep doing Apocalypse storylines. I hope they don't, but we'll see if they think that's the crutch they want to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And Round Crouton says they agree with Dolphin at the end of the first season. They agree to the consequences of time travel and are willing to commit to stopping the apocalypse properly. Then at the beginning of 2, they all blame 5 and are unwilling to help and work as a team when they've seen how bad an apocalypse can be. Seems like backtracking. Absolutely. 100% that. Also, the moments their hand lingered on the 3rd episode, we all knew where it was going to go. I'm intrigued by what that means. The mum and Vanya, of course.
Right.
I assume it's that. That was great. That was well written romance. That wasn't forceful. That was really well written. The dad just watching them from a distance was a little corny. That was a little too much.
That was pretty weird.
Yeah,
it was pretty freaking weird. He also said later, my favorite line from this season is Klaus. And what I am is sexy trash.
It's very
good. Beautiful. Klaus just has the best lines.
Another bit of like behind the scenes thing is when they all meet in Dentist Man. It's like TV salesman man or furniture or whatever. As they're going up the stairs, everyone said hello to each other except for Diego. And Allison turns around and goes, "Oh, no hello from you." Like that was improv as well. Like they did the same. And then as she was walking up the stairs, she realized Diego never says hello. So Alex turned around and went, never said like, so it's great. And it's a great natural moment because they all split off. And so it's this awkward moment of the two of them. I love it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So is that in the bonus scenes or whatever?
No, this is all off YouTube. There's been lots of Zoom calls with all of them, and beautifully, they're all numbered the right way. So Tom Hopper's in the corner.
Yes.
And it's very good.
That's so good.
It's so fun. Like, I think it's the same interview as the Robert Sheenan saying, "Bonsoir," which is one of the best clips on the internet at the moment.
Good.
Yeah, that's the other thing, as Dalton Benson says in the chat. One of the best casts on TV. Like, Netflix, apart from their romance movies, nails it. Like, look at Stranger Things and this. It's like, like, this is a cast I want to keep watching, but maybe they should stop.
Yeah, it's almost like the Marvel of...
Totally.
Like, the Marvel casting for a TV show, for, like, Netflix casting. Because all of, like, pretty much every single casting in Marvel is so good.
Yeah.
Those people are so good, and they are just the best people outside of the show as well.
Yeah,
They just seem like really lovely, normal human beings, other than Robert Downey Jr., but he's special in his own way.
He's a god.
He's not a normal person.
No.
But yeah, these guys just seem just so great.
Yeah. And if they aren't, recast them. Exactly, Tom Pants.
Yeah.
If they're Terrence Howard, get rid of them. Yeah, totally. The man was rude. He asked for more money than Robert Downey Jr. The freaking movie's called Iron Man, dude. Get over yourself.
Fair.
But yeah, totally. Yeah, it feels like that. And, oh man, I don't know how they'll end this show, but I hope they do it well. Is the biggest thing. And I mean, it's the tricky thing, because clearly Gerard Way's going to keep writing these books. They're all young enough that if he doesn't write another book for 10 years, we could just come back in 10 years to do another season then. I would like them all to be in the apocalypse for an episode. That would be cool. Like the 5 apocalypse from the first season. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued to see where they go. But I guess we'll have to wait, I don't know, a year or two probably.
Probably 2. I mean,
probably 2022.
Yeah, because this was a year after the last one, but they've definitely not had a year to film this one, the next season.
Yes. And I really thought this was like 2 years ago.
Right? No.
The fact they kept saying 2019, I'm like, did we do this last year?
Also funny that they didn't want to get back to 2020.
Yeah.
They wanted 2019.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's it for the podcast. And if you want to check us out anywhere but wherever you currently are, well, if you're not on Spotify, you can go to youtube.com/each of their own and check out a bunch of videos there. We're going to get back there. We haven't posted much, but we'll get there. And if you're not on YouTube currently, you can go over to Spotify. No, that's the thing you kicked me in the balls for that other time. If you are on YouTube, you can go over to Spotify and check out the full podcast over on Spotify. It's a link down below because Spotify still don't know how to make URLs. It's ridiculous.
Indeed. But Actually, I think they may have they fixed it?
Can I just type in? Let me find out. Let's find out on the podcast, because that's really exciting for people, I'm sure.
I feel like there was something that they did, like there are clickable links now.
There's shorter ones, but I don't think they're worded right. I think that's the issue. So if you want to get to our Spotify, you can go to open.spotify.com/3AVWIULMG5ZOEMOLPYHAGE. That's... I'm not doing it again. So that's what Spotify URLs look like. Is there anywhere else they can go, Josh?
Discord?
Yeah, but how do they get to the Discord?
Right. You can jump over to patreon.com/each to their own. I think $1 or $2 will get you in to the Discord to chat with us and stuff. That helps us out a lot. You can support what we do here. And yeah, we have a couple of different tiers. We're not following the tiers much anyway. So if you do want to jump into our streams, which we're doing much, much more now, and you want to come play games with us, come do it.
Please do. And to get to that, and also I'll just quickly say, you did say .com after the Patreon one, but also if you want to get to our streams, it's twitch.tv/ettonline. That's right. Until the next one, everybody.
It's ETTO Online. I just want to say, sorry. It's ETTO Online, but the O's are shared.
This is true.
In case
so
you're
ETTO Online.
Trying to figure out what that is. ETTONLINE.
They've already tuned out, Josh. Until the next one, right. I've been Will.
And I have been Josh. Bye-bye.
I turned into Nebula. Just go blue. Which you can't see unless you go over to youtube.com/each or you go to open.spotify.com/show3a. No, there's a slash and then /AV. No, so it's open.spotify.com/show/3AVWIULMG5ZOE.
Bye, everybody.
It basically says Monopoly. Bye, everyone.
Have a good night.